Hello world, I'm What If Studia, and today we are doing What If Deku was the reincarnation of the strongest hero, part 4. We start off from where we left off, where Endeavor and Deku were in the middle of their friendly old spar. However, Endeavor has been taking it more seriously lately, as Deku had noticed this as his progression and his strength has gone up recently. He has acquired this sort of tempest that he had acquired before. And he now recognizes himself as starting to acquire his previous powers. Fighting off against Endeavor, in the middle of their sparring, he asked Endeavor some simple questions, usually answered with just muffled growls of hatred, as Endeavor has not gone through his arc yet. However, Endeavor, intimidated by him, does give him some information. When it comes to All for One, now that is some sacred information, never given out to many people. However, when Deku practically pries it out of freaking Endeavor, Endeavor blurts out, "He's gotten weaker, alright? Is that what you want?" Deku says, "Alright," as he immediately stops the sparring right in the middle and then just starts leaving. As Endeavor says, "It's only sundown. We still have 2 hours of training left." He says, No. You help the rest of the heroes train. I'll do whatever it takes to beat that son of a bitch into the ground." As Endeavor looks confused to the small child that says that he's going to beat in the top villain's face, but he's not arguing if the kid's off to basically do what would be considered hero suicide. As Deku feels inside of his body as the original power that he had acquired in his previous life was coursing through his veins, was starting to pump throughout his whole system. He can feel it. It just needed one push. "It's finally time," he says to himself. All right. As then, he goes into the criminal underground from what he originally remembered when he had gone into the underground to save his brother from turning to the darkness. He had failed before, never again. As he finds himself in the middle of this mosh pits, he would have to start from the very beginning. When he had first gone into the underground, he had to win his way up to the highest. However, trying to get to his brother was the longest journey he had taken. Now knowing the exact structure of how these villains work will help him along his way. He starts out in the mosh pits, being thrown into about a 10-man brawl between overpowered Nomus and all different types of scientific discovery and different people made of different quirks and misshapen bodies. First comes out a guy that has turned his half of his body into a scythe, a living weapon that had ejected scythes out of the ground at him. However, he smashes through every single one as lightning courses through the metal blades into the ground and then shocking the man, this half-scythed man, as he is fried to an absolute crisp and floats away in the wind as ashes are all that became of his body. Deku continues his way along, fighting off Nomu after Nomu, each one having about the same exact power. However, their savageness was unrivaled. The different levels of Nomus went in ascending order from when he started fighting. By the 13th that he had tried to fight, the last one was the upper echelon of the Nomus, one of his brother's best. This was where he failed in the original. When he had first gone into the underground, his brother had these exact same experiments. He dealt with them easily, even including the biggest one of them. It seems that his tests have gone better than before. That worries him, as this underground seems to have grown, not shrunk, as that was his one duty as hero. He failed. Or maybe his successor, All Might. Could he have failed? No, he couldn't have. As then suddenly he's brought back into reality by the Nomu's fire fist that was ejected straight at his head. He had been punched straight to the face, leaving brisk flames on his eyebrows and on his sort of beard that he had grown over the not very big beard, just a slight beard. However, cinders still arced from it. He was thrown into the walls and then arced across the whole place. Throughout the halls, there was massive explosions as he burst himself back right at the Nomu, causing a huge explosion behind him of dust and dirt. He comes at the Nomu with a gigantic right hook. However, the Nomu takes this straight to the chin and then grabs onto his head, and then brings his head down for a knee. However, Deku wraps himself around the knee below the Nomu. Able to get behind the Nomu, he twists his body around, almost snake-like, wrapping his legs around the Nomu's waist, and then wrapping his arms around the Nomu's neck, bringing down the Nomu to the ground, using all of his body's weight against him, and then wrapping his arms and starting a rear naked choke. The Nomus, however, didn't even depend on air, as he was soon to figure out, as he was bashed into the ground. This activates sort of a fight or flight that activates inside of Deku all the time. However, this was from Alawa now. It was something that he had never felt in almost 400 years. This is what I was looking for. As then he tightens his grip as hard as he can, and then lightning arcs start to flow throughout his eyes, and a golden aura aligns across him. He snaps as hard as he can to the left, snapping the Nomu's neck as a gigantic burst of energy came out of it, just in time to stop it from crushing every single bone in his body. The Nomu falls lifeless as he tries his hardest to get out from under its fall. The thud that happened from its body shook the whole arena. Deku, almost out of breath and with his lungs bashed, he still has blood in his lungs by this point, so he's spitting up blood, and he looks up to the main man, who he assumes to be his brother, as he shouts as hard as he can, "Come down here, you coward! Fight for your animals, and watch as you lose." As then, All For One comes down from his hover chair, basically, as he hovers above Deku. "Fine, I'll oblige you, worm." As he steps down from the clouds, clouds of dark mist created by one of his subordinates. The ground starts to turn to an obsidian black. All the ground around him basically turns into that, right? It turns into a glass sort of floor, except it's black glass. It's it can be shattered easily. However, it's a very interesting quirk. It can be used to, when he touches you with the quirk exactly, you will turn into black glass. He looks up to Deku, not even in the eyes, but as a mere kid. You impress me. That'd be a first, you ugly hag. What happened to your face? What? Did you slip down the stairs? Brother. Foolish kids these days. Shall we begin? What is your name? At least I would like to learn the name of the boy that I killed today. And the next day I might not. I don't promise to remember it. Call me Deku. As he holds up his hands up into a boxing position, the electricity flows up through his body, all the way up to his hands, almost in the Avatar sort of way. He starts to feel the energy coursing through his veins, through his eyes. This is where I take my history back. As then he dashes straight at All For One. All For One immediately creates a land barrier between him and Deku. Deku, however, smashes straight through that, surprising All For One with the exact power of Deku. Deku comes in with a right hook to the stomach. However, All For One dodges this. He takes up his hand. He tries to grab onto his arm. However, Deku immediately dodges backwards, and then comes back in with a left hook to the face. All for One creates drills around his face, stopping Deku from punching him in the face, and then he looks down to see his stomach being punched with an uppercut, sending All for One flying. How does this brat know what I'm thinking? Is that his quirk? As he immediately looks back up and was given no chances. He immediately is smashed down from the ground, as Alawa had told Deku to never let him off his guard, never let him recover, because right as All for One recovers, he will immediately be starting using all of his quirks, activating them. As long as you keep on smashing him downwards, upwards, anywhere, as long as you keep him off guard, never let him touch the ground. As then All for One arises out of the dust, collecting all of it into black mass as he spreads it straight after Alawa. Alawa had never seen this quirk before. It must have been new, and Alawa was having quite a trouble dealing with it. However, when he was cornered into the back, All for One, he rises a gigantic slab of rock and then punches it with his gigantic arm. As it slowly falls onto Deku, its gigantic mass speeding up its velocity as it falls. Deku is seemingly crushed by it. However, as All for One starts to walk away, all of the villains going hoo, 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 as they start to cheer on All for One's, victory. Deku's hand rises out of the ground, grabbing onto All for One and dragging him into the ground. All for One starts to create a sand barrier between him and Deku. However, Deku pulls him into the ground farther and farther, using his electricity to make his body go faster and faster as he drags him through the dust, the dirt, until finally reaching the wall, which he plants him inside of it. However, All for One is just, I'm tired of this, as then he collects all the black dust around him and obliterates the sand around him. Everything, and including hurting Deku's arm quite a lot. It scars it forever, actually. It starts to mold off his hand. However, he rips off the skin of his hand that was starting to be affected by the black blight. All for One rises into the air, getting serious now, as Deku's like, finally, his true power. This is what he started out with last time. Truly, he has gotten weaker, as then suddenly his eyes start to electrify, as the rest of his body starts to feel all of it. It courses through his veins. The golden eyes peer down at All for One, as he stands above Deku, but not for long, as Deku appears right in front of All for One, saying, sorry, I just don't like you looking down on me. As then All for One is not even able to react before Deku smites him down with a gigantic right hook to the stomach, bringing him down to the ground and knocking the wind out of him. He covers himself with the black mist again. However, Deku had prepared for this, as he rises his hand into the air, bringing down a gigantic lightning bolt. He feels himself and he rises into the air as the gigantic lightning bolt courses down into his hand. It shines around the whole arena, shocking anyone that sees it. This is his rage. This is his feelings. Everything that he has done, all of his training, has come to this as he rises it into the air. However, he starts to feel that hand phase away. He feels like it's nothing. It's not there anymore. He looks up to see a portal that had opened up around his hand. The lightning bolt had struck somewhere else. A gigantic kaboom happens. He pulls his hand through the portal as there's nothing there anymore. All for One starts to laugh. You thought you could win just by overpowering me and knowing every single thing I would do. That's your quirk, right? You must be some type of no-moo. What? You made one mistake, hero. I have friends. You don't. As then Deku's like, friends? Really? As he peers up to see Shigaraki. and also the portal dude sitting there, staring at him and laughing. As they both walk in, all of them firing, all their most powerful abilities at him. Shigaraki immediately teleported at him. Deku looks up in terror. He has no escape. He has no way out. What could he possibly? As then a pink mist starts to release from him. A pen that she had, that Miss Midnight had put onto his shirt, that had now been ripped up, torn apart. Just this one flower, I believe it was, that she put onto his shirt. It was just a flower bud, however. It was nothing special, only seemed to be some sort of badge. And it releases a spore that releases into the air in front of Shigaraki, as he immediately falls asleep, and Alpha One starts to fall asleep. Everyone starts to fall asleep as this thing packed a punch. Deku is starting to get drowsy as he can't resist the urges of falling asleep. As he tries to hobble his way to the door, suddenly, Midnight walks in, finding Deku, and immediately grabs onto him as he falls into her arms. She takes him. Some of the villains are still awake and start chasing them. However, Midnight tries to make them fall asleep as she's chased throughout the tunnels. She finally comes back up to the surface and brings him to her house. A gigantic mansion that overlooks most of the city, on the outskirts at least. She brings him up into her room basically, and takes out a med pack that she takes out, and then starts to wrap up his right hands, like black blight that had consumed his right hand, and also his lungs. She had given him pills while he was asleep for that. As he starts to wake up in the morning, the dread starts to hit him. What have I done? As he looks down to his hand, he sees the battle scars, the wornness, and still coughs up just a little bit of blood. That's way better than before. God damn it, I failed! And she says, no, you just made a bad decision. What's the difference? Wait, Midnight? As she comes in, she looks down with almost with the same look that his mother gave him. Don't look at me like that, Midnight. Don't ever look at me like that, okay? As she says, no, don't you understand? What you did was reckless. Endangered everything. But how close did you get to killing that bastard? He was on his knees groveling. I knew it. You really are him, Alawa. As she kneels down and kisses him on the cheek. However, he shifts his cheek as Alawa touches into Deku and immediately moves his face down, and then kisses Midnight on the lips. As Midnight looks into his eyes and says, wow, I didn't know you're such a good kisser. As he looks to himself, at Deku, and Deku's like, you bastard. And Lawa's like, you're welcome. As then she immediately topples onto him. Deku's like, oh, fuck. I'm not ready for this, man. Freaking Alawa's like, oh, you better be. You have to be. And thank you so much. I'll be finishing it right now. I will not be uploading for the next week. I am so sorry, but I will be in Alaska. So that'll be just dandy. Actually, you know what? I might record stuff while I'm in Alaska. Let's hope they have good internet. I doubt it, though. So if this is the last time I'll see you guys, I guess I'll just be seeing you guys sometime. Somewhere. Goodbye.